to pay. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395.
Oh man, it's not Happy Wednesday. It's delicious Wind Down Wednesday, folks. Good afternoon, Chef Patrick Mosher, Food Biz Pro here, and yes, I am happy to report that my luggage is back and safe. My knives are all back in their cases, and they're all happy. And I covered them with a blanket last night, so none of them were crying. It wouldn't rust. Oh, but you know, it's this great Swedish steel from Kongsheng. They wouldn't have rusted anyway, so that really doesn't matter. But yes, and my suitcase, as if you're worried, is well rested and still napping, actually, in the closet in the dark. Yes, it's another dark room, but with familiar boxes around, so he's okay. Kevin is okay. So I was just, interestingly enough, I was just on our sister channel, Mojo 50, talking to Matt Locke, and there was an incident with a member of the Trump family that had gone to have dinner or a drink at an establishment, and the server spat in their face. Now I have my own political views. Doesn't really matter what they are. They're not really, well, I mean, it depends. I sit on either side of the aisle depending on what the issue is. I'll be honest with you. I don't straddle the fence so much as have very strong opinions on several issues, key issues. But I think this might be a teachable moment, not just for the owner of the establishment, but also for the employee, that the job that you perform is not about you. So it's called service. And service is not about about espousing one's political views or being an activist instead of an advocate, or perhaps saying, you know, oh, sir, you know what, could we sit down and talk sometime? Because I disagree with your politics, but you know what, since I'm, maybe after your meal, could we sit down and talk? I'd really like to understand your point of view. No, service is about serving other people. It's not about judging anyone else coming into your establishment. Wasn't there a story about there's a story about, what was it? The gay couple that had they're getting married and they wanted a same-sex set of cake toppers, right? And I believe that the establishment wouldn't make the cake. And they were actually sued, I think, by the federal government and forced to serve all peoples of color, creed, race, and religious and sexual preference. And eventually that business actually closed because they chose to stand by their convictions. So if they were forced to do that, then shouldn't every establishment have to open their doors to every individual? And if they don't, and you choose not to serve specific individuals based on any of those qualifications, then should not every other business have the choice to do that? And anyway, I don't like when politics and food cross lines like that. I can get, actually, you know what? The restaurant, food and beverage industry is not about service. It's not. It's actually about hospitality, because I can get service from an ATM down the street. I can get service from a car wash, because an automated car wash, it washes my car. It gives me a service. But hospitality means action with intent, right, to accommodate. Hospitality, to be hospitable. It's funny. That's the root of the word hospitality, is hospitable. I don't know. Somewhere in there, the hosp comes into play, though. I don't know the exact etymology of the word. I didn't study. Well, actually, I did study Latin, but it's been a really long time, so I've forgotten. But, keep that in mind. If you are in the service industry, the food and beverage industry, that we are in the hospitality industry, that is to serve people, in the spirit of hospitality, being hospitable. I can't tell you how many establishments I go into day and night. Doesn't matter what sector of what business sector it's in. It's ridiculous how poor customer service has become. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's a retail shop or a restaurant. I bet ignored it. Oh, I won't mention the name. Humperdinck's in Arlington on several occasions. Once I walked to the kitchen to get my own fork to eat my dessert. The other time I waited 20 minutes after the menus were served while sitting at the bar to order a drink. Yeah, I'm talking about Humperdinck's. Yeah, I'm not going to hold it back. I'll tell you. I'll call you out on the air. I just don't understand the issue with hospitality today. It's not that people aren't standing there getting paid to do your bidding. People just aren't focused. They aren't attentive. They aren't engaged. And when they are, then whatever's pissing them off in their life seems to play into the manner in which your food and beverage is served. And that shouldn't be the case, right? Leave it at the door. And then when you leave, pick up your baggage and take it home with you, right? That's all I can say. Look, the job is not about you. If you want to be in this industry, it is a very, very difficult industry. It's very trying. You have guests every day that are going to be difficult. Whether you're in the kitchen, whether you're in serving on the floor, or you're in management, you're going to have difficult clients, difficult guests every day. And you have to be prepared for that. So what do? You take a breath, go outside, shake it off, wash your hands, pat your face dry, and you go back to work. It's that simple. And when all else fails, kill them with kindness. Because there's nothing worse when you're having a pissy day than somebody going, "Of course, sir, I'd love to get you another glass of water. I'll bring it right back." And then when they're sitting around after they've completed, so we have what are called campers in the industry. If they're still sitting around, the best way to get people to go is to clear the water glass or just stop filling it. And then they're like, because they'll be like playing with the glass and they have nothing else to do on the table. They start folding the napkin. Right. Anyway, it's the hospitality industry. Be nice. That's your job. And stay focused. Managers out there, I think it's a great idea to not allow cell phones on the floor. Like I used to have a box in my office, a shoebox, and every employee in the kitchen had to drop their phone in the box every day. And they'd say, "Well, what if I have an emergency?" Well, then you need to know the landline number, and your employee or your relative can call me, or they can call my cell phone. And then I will come and get you off the line and you can talk on the telephone. If you have a scheduled call, then you can tell me what time that call is and I will come cover your portion of the shift so you can take that call. That's how that works. And that was not negotiable. I recently have a friend whose son walked out on a job because they were asking him to give them his cell phone because he was toying with the cell phone at work. And this was a hotel. It was a very nice hotel. And he chose to walk out of his job and quit rather than relinquish his cell phone. They weren't very happy, and apparently he wasn't either. I guess he didn't like his paycheck. It was a really good paying job, but that kind of there's some things along with that and her experiences. It inspired her to actually start a customer service based business where she wants to now teach employees in all sectors of retail sales, whether it's the restaurant and food and beverage industry or retail, customer service. She was explaining to me she was frustrated. She walked up to a cashier at a grocery store, and yes, I know this is not necessarily food and beverage related, but it is because hospitality and service are really that's what we sell in the restaurant industry. The food is what they pay for. We are the experience along with the food, though, right? We provide the ambiance, the attentiveness that makes it a special experience. Because we can just lay food on the table and walk away, and you can eat it in a dimly lit room and with a candle on the table in complete silence, and we won't say a word. And it's not the same, right? We're the flavor, the spice. That's what we do in the industry. But anyway, so, she recently, and this happens to me all the time. You walk up to the checkout counter and someone who should be ringing me up and saying, "Good afternoon, sir. Oh, well, okay, get your Kroger card," or whatever. It wasn't Kroger, by the way. And you're like, "Oh, no, I'll put it in because it gives me something to do while you're checking out where you're bringing up my goods." They just ignore you. They put their cell phone down and go, and then they proceed to check you out. And, I'll give you an example. I'll give you a prime example of how it's played out for me in the last 10 days while my luggage was missing. I flew American Airlines, which, be honest with you, all airlines right now have problems. They all have delays. And it just so happened that the weather was terrible at the hub of American Airlines, which is right here in Dallas-Fort Worth. And in LA alone, they had 130 canceled flights in like 4 days. So my baggage ended up in New York somehow. Nobody knew where it was. It was 9 days, 10 days to get it. And I kept calling and I kept calling and I kept calling. And at one point on Saturday, I asked for the employee on the other end of the phone's name because I had told her, "Look, this is the information I've given every other American Airlines employee on the phone. And they have helped me track what has happened with the baggage. and they were able to tell me where it was last seen and scanned. And she would not tell me anything. She said, "No, sir, that's not the information I need." I said, "Ma'am, it's what everybody else has needed, and that's what your automated service tells me I need to give you before you answer the phone. So here's the information." And she proceeded to say, just to deny and deny and deny. And I finally said, "Ma'am, can I have your name and your employee number?" And she refused and hung up. But I know what time the call was, and I know what time, because you leave a message and they call you back. I know exactly what time it dialed me. I know I always ask, which call center are you calling from? It was Reno. And I know your first name. And so I've sent a polite email asking they treat you not so politely. But thank you for hanging up on me. I was going to say another word, but I didn't. But anyway, so, I started thinking that was not the first incident. So I go back to the day one when my baggage was lost. And I go to the baggage services counter, and I go up and I tell the gentleman, "I've lost my luggage. I don't know where it is. It didn't come off the plane." "Okay, well, you know what? It'll be on the next plane tomorrow." That's okay. "Well, actually, can you look in the computer and see if it was ever scanned and checked into the airplane?" Okay, can I tell you this? As a server, as a customer service agent of any kind in any business, is never the answer. It must be struck from the vocabulary. And as a matter of fact, I think you should be fined $1 towards a beer fund for your employees on the weekend, all your friends and family, that you work with. Every time you do that. Matter of fact, next time, hey, can you throw another steak on the grill? We dropped one. Server dropped one. Oh, there's $1 in the fund right there. That's as bad as dropping the F-bomb in front of a customer. As a matter of fact, it might even be more rude. There is no more rude statement in the service industry, the hospitality industry, than, "Okay." No, it's, "Sure, let me get right on that." Or, "Give me just a second so I can research what's going on." You can change a person's day by throwing a smile out there. If you know their head, somebody walks up to you with their head that looks like it's going to explode because they've lost their luggage, which means they have no clean underwear, if you know what that feels like. Well, you don't, because you're not flying. You're sitting behind a desk. Man, you got to do your laundry yesterday. So, smile at them. Put your phone down, look up and say, "Hey, sir, how may I help you?" "Oh, did your luggage not come off the plane? Let me see if we can find it." That makes all the difference in the world. Being engaged and preemptively anticipating the problem and then addressing it in a way that's positive, that gives them some freaking glimmer of hope that something good is going to come out of the day. And this does not just apply to lost luggage. You don't know what has happened to the person coming through the door of your restaurant or your bar or your dining establishment or your hotel. And so look up, smile, and say hello. It makes a world of difference. And that's Paul Harvey with the rest. I'm sorry. You know what? I used to love him. Chef Patrick there just pontificating a bit on the state of customer service or hospitality in the world today. Because I'll tell you what, we need to change things. We have 1 million dining establishments in this country every day with at least, I'd say, 5 bad experiences for client every day per day. That's a minimum. Even for, if you average it out, it's probably more. So that's 5 to 10 million bad impressions a day for our industry, for our livelihood. Now, for me, that's good, because when I get involved in a business and I get to turn it around and teach people how to better serve their guests, how to up the level of their performance in the kitchen, update their food and menu. That's just more money for me. I get to charge premium dollars. Keeps me in business. Thank you. But for the guest, remember, for every bad experience, they tell 10 people. For every good experience, they tell 1, possibly 2. So for your business, if you're one of those establishments and you turn a blind eye, don't do it anymore. And it starts with this restaurant in Chicago where a member of the Trump family was dining. I don't care what your politics are. Shut your mouth and serve the person. That's your job. It's not about you. It's about providing an experience to the diner. All right, so enough about that crap. I just hate, and I don't care what side of the fence you're on. I hate it. I just hate when stuff like that happens. It's embarrassing to me as a member of the food service community. It really is. So, let's go to a little lighter note. Matter of fact, here's a light story for you. Man, this is all like dark stuff today. Some of America's top chicken purveyors are under investigation for price fixing. How do you price fix chicken? So apparently, this has to do with. I didn't see. Did I see Tyson in here? Let's see. So Mapleville Farms is alleging that some of the country's top poultry processors were manipulating chicken prices. They're talking about whole roasters, by the way. And this includes Tyson, Purdue, and Pilgrim's Pride. And it states they orchestrated a massive price-fixing scheme involving broiler chickens. So let's see here. The Justice Department has now asked a federal judge in Illinois to stop the discovery process related to the Mapleville suit for 6 months so that the federal agency could continue to investigation of these companies. So they just want to make sure that they get first crack at all possible evidence. So they don't want them mucking up the waters, apparently. Or they're going to let them hide the trail and nobody will ever find out. But it's interesting. So Mapleville, their suit claims that Tyson Foods, Sanderson Farms, Purdue Farms, and Pilgrim's Pride worked together to drive up the price of broiler chickens by destroying flocks of breeder hens, thereby reducing production rates. This scheme is oddly reminiscent. That's funny. It's a plot of a recent Billions episode on HBO called Chicken Town. I wonder if they somehow got wind of this suit, and that's where it came from. But the suit alleges that these companies used a subscription service called AgriStats to share information with each other about the age of their chickens and operating costs. The claimant points out that trading this kind of information would be extraordinarily beyond what any rational business would do. According to the Times, the price of broiler chickens jumped 50%. New York Times, that is, between 2008 and 2016. Despite the fact that the cost of feeding the chickens went down during this period. Well, that's kind of sounds, interesting because the actual cost of chicks and breeders didn't really it shouldn't have gone up if the cost of feed hasn't gone up. The only way it would have gone up is if you had a significant reduction in flock. But it seems to me, why would they fix prices by killing off, say, 30% of the existing breeders? It doesn't make any sense to me, but we will see how this plays out and whether the big, infamous Sanderson, Tyson, and Pilgrim's Pride shall prevail or whether Mapleville will win. It's interesting because there's a lot of price fixing that happens in the food service industry. We just don't hear about it. And what was there was a big movie about it with it was about the corn syrup. Do you remember that price fixing one? It was what's his name? The one from Jason plays Jason Bourne. What's his name?
I don't know.
The actor that plays Jason Bourne in the movies. What's his name?
Yeah, I don't know that. Oh, Matt Damon.
Yeah, Matt Damon.
Okay, that part I know.
Yeah, so he plays. I think he plays a whistleblower inside ConAgra. I think is but they were price fixing, doing a lot of price fixing on corn syrup back in the day, back in the 80s.
That's so crazy.
It's actually a good movie.
I mean, the fact that this is even a story, really. I mean, I'm like, wait a second.
I'm telling you.
Are we don't have anything else better to do? What's the problem here?
Well, you know what? There are a lot of better things to do. You know why? It's grilling season. We're going to talk about that in a minute. So, matter of fact, forget it. You know what? Let's see. How about we do it? Here we go. Nope, it's not on that one. It's here you go. You know what's coming up next week, don't you?
You're cooking outside with
with Brandon.
Yes, thank you. I can't remember his name. Yeah, but you guys are doing like hibachi stuff and firing up pits in the ground. You're digging up the back parking lot to be able to bury a goat.
So bury a goat,
right?
Yes,
you're cooking a goat. No. It's not like a sacrifice.
We buried the goat a long time ago. That's what cured the curse of the Cubs, right?
Okay.
Yeah. So we sacrificed a surfboard and then we buried a goat in the ground, a dead one already, and we did a little ceremony. It may have been a little witch lot. It may have been a little witchcraft like. But anyway, the Cubs finally won a series like in 2016. So it's okay. It's okay. It was worth it. And then the Astros won one the next year. I don't know what happened on that one, but no. But 4th of July is next week, dude. It's grilling season.
That's right. Well, see, I've already been grilling. I don't wait till the 4th of July to fire up my grill. I'm firing up my grill all year long.
The problem with me is I forget that there's a grill downstairs. I really do.
There's 3 of them.
I know, but I never
go. They're big.
Okay, so, the Mojo River just entices me to go swimming. So I don't often stand on there's a platform. Okay, imagine if you're watching that right behind that wall. Imagine, because this is real, right behind this wall where that beautiful Spoony logo is. there is a little hallway and there is a door. Yes, that wall right there used to be a wall of windows across from me, but adjacent to that is a doorway that leads outside. Yes, there's an actual outdoors. I don't live in a cave in the middle of a mountain. There's outdoors, and it overlooks the beautiful Mojo River, and we can see one building, a tiny sliver of the top of a building in downtown beautiful Fort Worth that we can almost see when the tree's not when the wind is blowing the trees out of the way. We can see it, but I don't go down there because I want to go swimming in the river. I want to go fishing. I want to catch something and grill it, and there's just not enough fish in there. It's not worth my time, so I never go down there. And then I start thinking about cooking and food and 4th of July, and I'm like, I could have had a steak last night. I mean, there's a grill downstairs.
Right.
I could have at least had a turkey burger. I'm gonna have to, and I have enough other items that I could use it as an oven. Matter of fact, you know what? Here's what we're gonna do. We were thinking about what we could do in this studio as a cooking series, because I'm very limited. I have no ventilation system, no commercial ventilation system, so I can't have live fire, open fire. I can't really have any big heat source. I do have that countertop oven in there, which was graciously gifted to us.
Right.
And
You're talking about like a toaster oven, right?
No, that's actually a regular convection oven that's back there on the counter.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's just small. It says it fits a pizza, so I bought a pizza. Well, the pizza's like a 12-inch pizza. Well, I'm gonna have to cut it. I'm gonna have to cut it into 4s to fit it in there. But I'm gonna do it, and it's okay. I can cut it frozen and throw it in there for those nights when I don't want to grill. But I was just thinking. So I'm gonna start, and I'll work with Brandon next week. We will come up with. I'm gonna start doing that. We'll do some Facebook Live stuff, some short form tips and tricks to using your grill as an entire kitchen. There's no reason you can't saute, that you can't simmer, braise, steam. You can do it all right on a grill.
Yeah.
Actually. But one thing you do have to have that, because you're going to have to close the lid over your cookware. Make sure you have plenty of pot holders or something to grab hot handles with.
Oh, that's a good point, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you don't want to make sure you don't use. It has to be metal handles, don't they? I mean, you don't want to put something in there that's those black handles that are connected to the silver pot. Those black handles can melt, right?
Yeah, well, and the thing is, they'll only melt once. You won't have to worry about it anymore, right? So it's funny.
But it leaves a funny taste to the food, Chef. There's something. It just doesn't go well. You know what I mean? So in a commercial kitchen, we use we use stainless steel and then sometimes aluminum cookware. The aluminum are great because they're lighter, but after a while, the bottom starts to deform, right? And it starts to get bowl shaped. And that's when they're good, because you can really saute really quickly with those. Got a great, you just pull straight back and it gets the action that you want in the pan. And, that beautiful shot you always see on TV, that stop motion. The problem is, though, all of those, actually not a problem. People don't realize that all of those metal pans we use I don't know what it's a cast steel. It's like cast iron, but it looks like stainless steel, right? Just a cast steel handle that's riveted onto those pans. And they, was I just fondling myself there? I need to move my hand. That didn't look appropriate. It was on my chest, not in, and I'm put them on the table. Okay, here's how I'm supposed to eat as a child. Put my hands on the table, not in your lap, not on your chest there, Patrick. Just put your hands down and pray. But what's funny is they all come with a plastic cover on the handle. It's a blue plastic cover, almost always, or a black one. But within about a week of having them, they've melted off or been cut off by the cooks. Because what happens is when you leave the saute pan on the front row of burners, then you always turn the handle. There's one thing that's key in a commercial kitchen. I'll make this real quick. You always turn the handle so it's not sticking out over the edge of the stove, so people don't knock it off. And then in the back row, so when you turn it, it ends up going over the burner right next to it. And in the back row of burners, it's always over a burner somewhere. So it melts those things off, and they're inevitably gone within a week. But and then you really have to have a towel or a pot, something to grab them with. We use towels in the kitchen because you're allotted 3 a day in my kitchen. That's all you get for the shift. So don't waste them. You get 1 wet towel and 2 dry. The dry ones are what you grab a hot pan with. Otherwise, you steam a blister into the palm of your hand, and it's not cool. Matter of fact, it's really hot. All right. So, enough of that stuff. We'll get back to the top recipes for next week for 4th of July, and some other stuff. The top 50 restaurant list actually just came out. and a few other things. Matter of fact, it's Wine Down Wednesday. I'm hoping to hear from Laura again today. If not, I will enlighten you with a little bit of wine knowledge. Chef Patrick Mosher. Well, first course is done. Appetizer's done. Super salad next. Please join us.
Follow Chef Patrick Mosher on Twitter at Food Biz Pro.
Got an old car? You can donate it, whether it's running or not, to the United Breast Cancer Foundation and save a life. They'll even come and pick it up for free. The United Breast Cancer Foundation has saved hundreds of women's lives through their free or low-cost breast screen exams. But now they need your help. The United Breast Cancer Foundation wants to save more lives through early detection by offering women free or low-cost breast screening exams. And donating your old car, SUV, or truck, whether it's running or not, helps pay for them. Plus, you get a charitable tax deduction. Help the United Breast Cancer Foundation save lives by donating your old car, SUV, or truck. Call now for free pickup. 800-245-0823. 800-245-0823. 800-245-0823. Call right now. That number again is 800-245-0823.
Now you can fly anywhere in the world and pay discount prices on your airline tickets. Book a flight today to London, Paris, Madrid, or anywhere else you want to go and pay a lot less guaranteed. Call the International Travel Department right now at Low Cost Airlines.
800-452-1075. 800-452-1075. That's 800-452-1075.
Never Forgotten Apparel is more than just a premium women's and men's clothing line. It's a movement to remind us to wear American-made and serve those who serve us. Our heroes. Never Forgotten Apparel gives 20% of their total sales to nonprofits that support homeless veterans and off-duty firefighters, and 50% to individual veterans and firefighters in need nationwide. Check out neverforgottenapparel.com. Use promo code MATT, M-A-T-T, and get 15% off your purchase.
And we're back. Yep. Nope, not quite angry Patrick today, but, excited. You know what? I just want to cut something up because I have that new set of knives that from Kanchang Cutlery.
I'm telling you, those are nice knives, Chef.
No, those are badass, dude.
I can't wait to see you actually do like a live demo.
Oh, that might be tomorrow.
It's going to be fun.
Actually, it's going to be tomorrow because I promised Kanchang I'd be doing something tomorrow.
Okay.
And so I don't know how the hell we're going to do it. I don't care if somebody stands in here and holds that camera while I'm standing right there with a cutting board. But
yeah, we can make that happen.
I'm gonna look. I'm gonna swing these mics around like this.
Okay, get it up there, up a little higher. It's gonna be a little higher. There you go, about right there.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know. We'll figure that. Actually, I'll mount this on the side over here for the second half of the show.
That'll work great.
And we'll do something fun tomorrow. I'm gonna work on basic knife cuts. So hey, if you want to find out what a paisan cut is,
what's a paisan cut?
It's a cut of vegetable. It's the actual shape of a vegetable cut.
Really?
Yeah.
Wait a second. Hold on. So when I cut vegetables at home, Chef, I'm basically just taking the knife and I'm dragging it across over and over and over again, and I get these little slices.
Correct.
Is there a different way to actually cut a vegetable?
Yes. Oh man. So there's julienne. There's fine julienne. There's bâtonnet, which is like a French fry cut. There is dice, small dice, brunoise, fine brunoise. You have paisan. There's a bunch of different ways. There's seriously.
But why would somebody do that? I mean, what's the point?
So that's a good question. Actually, let's talk about that for a second, and we'll talk about it a little more in depth tomorrow. But so if you're going to, part of its presentation, right, the way that it looks in a dish. So say the actual the vegetable or fruit that you're working with, right, the piece of produce. So if you have say a bell pepper, right, bell pepper in certain dishes, say that you have a lot of, say you have a short pasta, something like a penne, then you probably don't want to put long julienne slices, like a long, slender slice of the bell pepper in there, because it's going to be longer than the penne pasta. So you would put a diced pepper in there, right? So a square
kind of, or cube. And with potatoes, if you want them to cook more quickly, then you know, if you're going to boil them, you would dice them up or slice them up and boil them. And if you're going to present them in a whole manner, you know, it's just appearance. You might dice them like in hash. I like diced potatoes in hash, like something like a Yukon Gold or another type of potato that it holds its shape like a red new potato. And that way you have a very specific presentation when you put it on the plate. Now you have and you have all these funny French names like julienne is basically a quarter of an inch wide and then, you know, 2 inches long or 3 inches long, whatever it is. But fine julienne would be if you take something like what do I do that with? If you're going to use like threads, it looks like a thread almost. You could do like a thread of jalapeno on something as a garnish, or you can do like ginger is another one that I use in Japanese food a lot. So
is there something known as shoestring fries?
Yeah,
is that like a fine julienne cut?
Yeah. So, and those are you know, potatoes. The great thing about potatoes is they're really firm and almost meaty in texture, right? They're very firm, and so you can use a handheld device called a mandolin to shred or cut those into certain shapes and sizes. So basically, it's a flat blade with a surface that you slide along, and that blade is adjustable up or down. And then adjacent, you know, underneath that flat blade, there are blades that you can attach parallel. So basically, you have this flat blade which creates a slice, and you have this parallel blade, right? Not parallel, I'm sorry, perpendicular blade, which now creates a finger-like. So when you slide it under, it cuts it flat, and then it cuts it into sections. So that's how you get that. And then you take those, right, and then you cut across those, and that's how you get cubes, right? And we'll talk about that all tomorrow. So it's really interesting when you learn to slice and dice, especially larger, dense vegetables, carrots, potatoes, things like that, rutabagas, turnips. First, it's a slice of something. Then you cut that into fingers, and then you cut across those to create cubes or whatever other shape you want to create. It's neat. It's almost like geometry to some extent. And I wasn't very good at that. Yeah, I mean that we're talking about 3-dimensional, spatial, blah blah blah. That's no, man. Just give me the food. Show me how to slice, dice. Can I throw it in the blender, please? Yeah, a culinary instructor. I said, hey, what's the best way to make these, turn these steamed potatoes into mashed potatoes? And I was really young and oh my gosh, stupid. And he goes, why don't you, he goes, put them in the blender. It's available. And I basically made paste. I didn't get a good grade for the day because I took his advice. Instead of reading the damn book, you know, just read the book. You know what, Patrick? That potato masher that was sitting right there on the counter it was for that class's curriculum that day. Yeah, I should have just been observant, but anyway. But yeah, tomorrow's going to be fun. So the only thing I think I require for tomorrow is to go pick up a cutting board that's a little more substantial than the one that we have in the kitchen. And that should be fun. So the second half, it'll be more visual. So if you're typically a listener and not a viewer, then I will try to be as graphic as possible in description of what I'm doing.
You mean articulate?
I will try to articulate as graphically as possible, or articulately no, you can't do that.
Articulate.
Yeah, graphically articulate. I don't know. Anyway, it sounded good. You know what? I do love the use of words. And one thing I miss Anthony Bourdain's use of language. He's like the douchebag friend that you wanted to love anyway. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I have nothing but respect for the man because he was, I'll be honest with you, he was not the most accomplished chef in the world. But I'll tell you what he was a very good chef who knew his stuff and could articulate that and keep you interested in the story. And if you've never read anything he wrote, his first book, his best book, I think was his big hit was Kitchen Confidential, which really gives you a behind the scenes look of not into so much the lives of chefs, although it does. It's more about his life and his trials, tribulations, and why he became a chef. It's I can't talk about that on the air. What the actual catalyst, the final straw that tipped him one direction or the other. Let's just say he realized that chefs can have a certain power that he had. It was unknown to him prior to that. I can't just read the book, man. Matter of fact, it's in my car. I'll bring it in. You can read that chapter. Okay. I'm looking at Jeff here in the booth, looking at me like, no, it's we just can't talk about that on the air. It's not couth. So
But you know, he had a way of drawing the audience and keeping you riveted, and being completely raw and sometimes abrasive, but always passionate and always entertaining. He was a very, very cool gentleman. So we miss you, Anthony. I don't even know. Maybe is it like the anniversary of his passing from last year? I feel like it's somewhere close to that. Maybe that's why I thought of his name. But so back to grilling and fun stuff for 4th of July. Now that we've talked about what we're going to do tomorrow, should I get off my lazy butt tonight and go actually get a cutting board? But it's 4th of July coming up next week, and I have not done a lot of grilling, and now being inspired by seeing the grill outside and this awesome article that I'm going to read here in a second. Yes, and folks, there are a lot of comments out there. I will get to them in just a minute. Actually, yeah, fall, winter. All right, yeah, we'll get to those in a second. All right, so this article is 32. Yes, 32. I don't know why they picked 32. 32 crowd-pleasing 4th of July recipes. I'm not going to go through all 32, but I'll post the article in a minute because it's a pretty good one.
Could you narrow it down to maybe the top 5?
Yeah, you know what? They don't give it to you that way, but I will go through and pick. Actually, this one looks pretty good. So I love street corn. You ever had street corn, like a Mexican-style street corn?
It's got like the butter and the salt and the red.
And the mayonnaise and chili powder and a little bit of cayenne. And
right.
Oh, man, and they mix it in the cup for you.
Okay.
So what they do is they'll take like the butter, and they'll take the mayonnaise and all that stuff. They just wipe it on the inside of the cup, and then they cut the corn off the cob and they scoop it in there, and they kind of layer it in there, and then you have to mix it all up and eat it. But man, this one looks good. They make a dip out of it. It's like a Mexican street corn dip, but the way they presented it is it's like they just put a whole bag of tortilla chips and they spread it out on this big platter, and then they take that dip and they mix it all together, and they just pile it on top like nachos, and then with you know, they've got the crema, the Mexican crema, which is basically it's like sour cream with lime juice in it, and it's thinned out a little bit of salt, and then they use that like a out of a squirt bottle on top, and they sprinkle some red chili powder on top. It's beautiful and a little sprinkled. So let's get that recipe actually, because that sounds really good. So basically, I can tell with either grill or steamed corn. So once that's done, then let's see. Oh, they're getting all fancy. So it's 2 tablespoons of unsalted butter, 1 white onion, minced, 3 cloves of garlic, minced, of course, 3 cups of corn kernels. I would not use frozen ones for this. I would definitely go ahead and roast corn, boil corn, and cut it off the cob. It's so much better. And this is the time of year to be getting corn anyway. 2 tablespoons of all-purpose flour, which I'm curious what that's for. Oh, now I know what it's for. 1/2 cup of whole milk. So they're going to make some sort of thickening sauce for it. 1/4 cup of heavy cream. 1.5 cups shredded Monterey Jack cheese. Man, this sounds like a really light recipe. I think you could eat like 5 or 10 helpings of this and never feel the effects, especially if you're like lactose intolerant. Let's see, a bag of tortilla chips, 1/2 cup of chopped fresh cilantro, some crumbled cotija cheese, which is kind of like the Mexican version of feta. It comes in a little round block. 1/2 cup sour cream, 1/2 teaspoon cayenne pepper. I would change that personally to chipotle because it's got a smokier, less spicy flavor to it. And then 2 limes cut into wedges. And all right, so are you kidding me? All right. So here's one thing I really, 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 really dislike about some of this. They're not going to. A lot of times they make you go to Pinterest and follow that person to get the recipe, but they didn't this time. They let me click through. So it's so you basically melt on the butter in a medium pot. You add the onion, saute till tender. Add the garlic. Always add the garlic second, by the way. Do you know that, Jeff? Do you know why?
So it has time to be able to marinate with everything else, or to be able to break down and kind of become a part of the dish?
Well, actually, it's because garlic is really kind of delicate, believe it or not. And when you put it into a hot pan, it tends to over caramelize or burn. And so you always put the onion in first. It takes away some of the heat and has a lot of water in it that it starts to put off. Then you put the garlic on top of the onion, and it doesn't burn that way. So if garlic's the only ingredient, then you got to put it in first. But if you have other aromatics, you put those in first. So you saute that, add the garlic, and then you add the corn. And you saute for like 2 to 3 minutes. And actually, you could probably, at this point, if you cook this 3 to 5 minutes, you don't even have to. You could cut the corn right off the cob and not even not cook it. Matter of fact, it would be better. I think it'd be better that way. So then you add the flour and you cook it and the reason you want to cook the flour, you sprinkle it over the top, cook the flour. What this is going to do is cook some of that starchy the starchy feel out of it. So it's not pasty when this dish is done. Then you add the milk, the cream, and you bring it to a simmer. It's going to start to thicken in 3 or 4 minutes. You just keep stirring. You have to stir, a lot so that you don't get any lumps in there. And then you stir in the Monterey cheese, and then you just let it melt down, and basically you have this creamy corn. It's almost like cream of corn is what it sounds like, or creamed corn. You put the tortilla chips down, an even layer on the platter. So it's going to be about 2 inches thick, and you just pour that mixture over the top, sprinkle with cilantro, cotija cheese, and drizzle with sour cream, which you could buy Mexican crema, actually. It's really, really good. It's much thinner. It's easier to drizzle, and it has a more distinct flavor. It's kind of like the difference between sour cream and creme fraiche, the French version. It's just got a completely different mouthfeel and texture. So then you put your cayenne pepper, which, again, I would substitute chipotle powder, and then your lime wedges. That actually sounds very good. A little rich, but I think that's probably one of the better ones.
You're missing one of the most important ingredients, in my opinion.
What's that?
Bacon.
Oh, that does sound pretty good, but I think bacon would go better in the next one. Yeah, because that's a Mexican dish. So look, let's stay true. I mean, it's a Mexican style. It's a version of a Mexican style dish, or an American style of a Mexican dish, an actual street corn dish. Right?
Okay.
So, but this next one, baked mac and cheese bites.
This really better be good, because otherwise, I'm not a big fan of mac and cheese unless it has like lobster.
That's like saying that people don't like bacon unless it has lobster. What, you need a $42 a pound lobster to be able to eat mac and cheese?
I'm just saying I like mac and cheese with lobster or maybe
bacon.
Even tuna. I'll do it with tuna or bacon, something like that. I need a protein in there.
Well, it's a side dish, dude.
Yeah, it still needs a protein to me. But okay.
So then what do you have? So if you have the bacon, or say you have tuna, this is a good question, actually, because I grew up like mac and cheese was sometimes a casserole for my family. A lot of times it was just a side dish. Mm-hmm. So if you had mac and cheese with, say, tuna in it, then what did you have as a protein on the plate?
Something else? I don't know. I really don't remember, but it was like, that was just... I don't know. There was just something about mac and cheese where it was like, it needs something else besides just mac and cheese.
Well, so for me, I love to have like 3 or 4 cheeses in the mac and cheese. I like a good cheddar, sharp cheddar, Gruyere, which is like it's a Swiss cheese, right? It's not a stinky cheese though, but it's a type of Swiss cheese that doesn't have holes in it. It's the base cheese for fondue, basically. And then I add another one in there for texture, right? So I might putting something like something interesting like Havarti, right? That's really creamy. And then you can do 5 cheese, you can add Parmesan, all this other stuff to it. But that gives it the depth of flavor you're looking for. And it has to have enough salt to offset that tanginess of that sharpness of the cheese. And then, to make mac and cheese, look, I'm not even going to read you the recipe. It's super simple. To make mac and cheese, you just basically I'm sitting up, Patrick's shaking aside and talk about a recipe. So I love mac and cheese. I like all versions of mac and cheese, with or without lobster, with or without bacon. Yes, but this would be a good one from bacon. What you do is you make, it's called a bechamel sauce. And bechamel is one of the 5 base sauces of French cooking, right? The mother sauces. Bechamel is basically flour and a roux. Basically, you make a roux, flour and butter. You cook that down in the pan for a minute. And when it's smooth, then you add milk. That's it. And you make that's the sauce. It's got salt and pepper in it. That's a bechamel. And so that sauce is the basis for the cheese sauce, for mac and cheese and Mornay and all that other stuff. That's the base for any cheese sauce, basically. So you make this bechamel. And here's the key to not get lumpy stuff. Just like the gravy, you have to heat the liquid. So you have to heat the milk before you put it in. Because if the starch and the liquid are different temperatures, what do you get? You get dumplings. Yeah, Mom's lumpy gravy, which, Mom, I love you. Your gravy was awesome, but sometimes lumpy, right? Unless we strained it. So that's how you get that. So you basically bring the milk up to just to simmer. You don't need to scald it really. And then what you just add a tiny bit in very slowly, and you whisk it. And then you add more in, and then you add more in, and then you can add, when you get about a third of it in there, you can add it all in there. And that's your sauce. You let it cook for 4 or 5 minutes to cook that starchy taste out. And then that's your base. You add all the cheese to that, and then you cook your macaroni or whatever pasta product you're using. I like macaroni, elbow macaroni. And then you add your cheese sauce into that and season it with salt, pepper, and whatever else you're going to put in there. Bacon. Bacon is good. But here's what you do on top of that. You take that and you know the little mini muffin pans? So you scoop some into each one, you top it with a little bit of cheese, a little extra cheese, and then you bake them in the oven just to brown them.
No, is there a muffin paper?
No, you just spray them.
Just spray
them a little bit. Mm-hmm.
With no paper and just put it in there directly.
Oh, you need to spray it with duck fat spray.
Does that come in a can?
It's actually spray. It's a spray. It's that's the one that Brandon was talking about yesterday on the show.
Right.
That duck fat spray. It's basically it's like a cooking oil spray, but it's made from duck fat instead of canola oil or whatever Pam is made of, and those other all natural olive oil sprays. But then you just bake them in the oven, and that's pretty much it. You bake it in there for 7 to 9. Let's say it's probably 2-3 minutes. It doesn't take. Come on, man, this is ridiculous. It says after you put the mac and cheese in each little pocket, each little receptacle for your mini muffin pan, then it says put a little of the cheddar cheese on each one, which is good. It says bake until the cheese is melted and the bites become golden 17 to 20 minutes. I'm saying that might be a little overdone. I'm going to say shoot for 10, folks, because you're talking an oven that is heated to 375 degrees. And I'm saying shoot for 10 and then start checking then. So, that's good. Shoot for 10 and start checking then. There you go.
But how are you checking? What are you looking for?
The cheese is gonna melt, start to bubble on top, and turn brown. At that point, they're done.
But the cheese, I'm sorry, but I was trying to follow along. But isn't the cheese already melted because you added it to the liquid?
No, once you scoop the mac and cheese into the little muffin tins, then you add extra cheese on top, just a little sprinkle of cheddar cheese on top to brown.
Oh, okay. I missed that part.
That's okay. I thought I said it, but it could have been the voices in my head talking to me. So they may have said it, and I was just listening. But then you got to let these cool, folks. Let me tell you, let these cool for about 15 to 20 minutes, and then pull them out. Use a fork to pull them out, and actually that would be great finger food for a party, especially if you have bacon in there. That's actually really good. I like that one.
What causes it to stick together?
It sticks together because of the sauce, basically. The flour and milk concoction, that bechamel sauce, is basically a binder. So that's where that pasty, sticky stuff comes from. So I'm going to put this article up. We're going to pick. Let's pick one more. Here's one: 8-layer hummus dip. That actually looks good, but that's just simple. Buy hummus, put some pesto on top of it, and some other stuff on top of that.
Move on.
That's easy. Spicy glazed meatballs.
Keep going. We need something more 4th of July-ish.
Baby back ribs of balsamic peach barbecue sauce.
No. I'm not feeling it.
So this is actually really one of my favorite things for summertime is like watermelon and cucumber salad. Have you ever had that?
No, but that sounds incredible because I love both watermelon and I do love a good cucumber.
So this actually is more Greek. This is a Greek style summer salad, and it's a Greek watermelon, feta, cherry tomatoes, and Kalamata olives.
Ooh, that sounds really delightful.
This is and some cucumber. And I'm going to read this one. This looks like really. And think about it, this is summertime. Serve this nice and chilled with a nice that'd go really nice with any sort of crisp white wine. Or even just a crisp non-alcoholic cider would be really good with this as well. Let's see. This looks delicious. Wow, I can't wait till. Matter of fact, I may have to make this for next week when we're doing some of the food because I could make this the night before and serve it that day.
It sounds like a really easy fix.
It is.
I mean,
actually,
like maybe 10 minutes of time as far as just slicing and dicing and putting it all together.
I'd give yourself 20 minutes just in case, but it's pretty straightforward. It's basically 4 cups of cubed watermelon. Okay, and the easiest way to cube a watermelon is to so you cut one side flat, right?
Wait, one side flat.
Yeah, so
it's a round object.
I buy the smallest watermelon I can. Like if you have personal watermelons, one of those, seedless watermelons is going to give you about 4 cups probably. Okay. So I would cut one of the ends off.
Okay.
And you want to cut far enough through that you're like, 80% of the bottom of what you're looking at is just the flesh of the watermelon, not the rind anymore. And you stand it up, and then you cut all 4 of those sides off, and then you turn it on that side and you cut the other end off. And that way because and I learned this my second day in a professional kitchen in the United States. I was working for Dougal's Catering. And one of the first things they teach you in culinary school, I'd never diced a carrot before I went to culinary school. But they teach you to cut one side flat, roll it on the flat side, and then it doesn't move on you. Pretty fantastic. Well, I was working at Dougal's Catering in Denver. I'd been in culinary school for about a week, and I was trying to julienne some carrots for a presentation. So instead of cutting one side flat and then continuing to cut, I cut one side flat, and then I just kept cutting that direction to cut these sheets of carrot. Basically a flat piece of carrot off of each one, instead of rolling it on the flat side and then cutting sheets. And it rolled, and I basically stuck the knife through about a third of the tip of my thumb, my left thumb. And I mean, it stuck in the bone. So to get the knife out, I had to knock the handle, and yeah, it did hurt just a bit. And fortunately, there is a hospital 1.5 blocks away where they had an account where they billed them monthly for the injuries in the kitchen. So,
hold on. Wait a second. The restaurant that you were working for,
it was a catering company. They did millions of dollars in business a year.
Okay.
Big catering company.
They had an open account with the hospital that was 1.5 blocks away.
Yes.
To be able to take care of the employees.
Yeah.
That would often go in there with injuries.
Perhaps. Yeah. Yes.
How many times did you go?
Just once.
Just once, really?
Mm-hmm. Well, after they sewed the whole top of my thumb back on, and I went back to work to finish the day, I typically only make the same mistake once. The only thing that I've done repetitively over and over again, well, there are a couple. There are 2, really. The first one is that, I'll nick these 2 for my index and my middle finger on my left hand, because you keep your fingers curled under when you cut. I'll nick that little piece of flesh once in a while, and you can see there's 15 little flat spots on those 2 fingers, and that's pretty common. I see other chefs do that as well. But the other one is when you haven't been on the line in a while, you'll grab a hot pan without a towel in your hand, and you don't do that again for a while. Ooh, man, that is absolutely painful. It's like you can feel it searing away the lines on your hand. It sucks.
The closest I ever came to doing anything like that was when I was younger.
Watching your wife cook in the kitchen?
No. My mom was doing ironing in the den for some reason, and I was a young lad. So I go up and I was like, oh, that's kind of a cool thing. What is that? And I put my hand, and before my mom could reach over and go, no, right? My hand becomes a part of the iron. I mean, it was like I could not pull it away. I mean, it was like, it was crazy, man.
Now think of something being sitting over open flame that's not red hot, but really should be glowing.
Right.
And someone turns the flame off that it was sitting over, and you turn around, didn't realize it, and you got to grab that pan to make the next dish that you have to saute. And you hear, and you see a little smoke come off the palm of your hand, and you're like, That's when I go, and there goes my day.
Right.
All right. So, hey, I want to get through the salad really quickly. Basically, it's 4 cups of cubed watermelon, 2 cups of cherry tomatoes halved, 2 cups of Persian cucumbers, which you can use Persian cucumbers, or you can just buy English cucumbers. And what I like to do with them is I like to keep the skin on those, because they have more tender skin. I like to keep the skin on those 2 types of cucumbers. Persians are these really short cucumbers. They're 4 inches or so in length, and you can buy them at almost any grocery store. They come packed in like a tray, a little plastic tray, or the styrofoam tray with a plastic on them. Then the English cucumbers, hot house cucumbers being the longer ones but I dice those up, but I cut the seeds out. Right. So I cut them into quarters lengthwise. I cut 4-inch long sections across, cut them into quarters, slice the seed out, and dice them into, 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch cubes. It works really well. And then 1 cup of Kalamata olives, pitted. You can buy pitted ones. You don't have to pit them yourselves. And I would actually cut those in half as well, because that's a lot of olive per bite. 8 ounces of feta cheese. And this is not key, but it's a really pretty presentation to cube it into 1-inch squares. 1/2-inch squares. 1/4 cup of extra virgin olive oil. 3 tablespoons of balsamic vinegar. Juice from 1 lemon. And this is actually the lemon is necessary because balsamic vinegar can be a little sweet. 2 teaspoons of honey, 1 cup of fresh basil, 2 tablespoons of fresh chopped chives, and flaky salt and black pepper. So flaky salt can be any kind of English flake salt, but if you don't have it, kosher salt's fine. And I would actually add in a little bit of chopped mint as well to put on top. It'd be really good. Like it's called a chiffonade when you finely julienne herbs. You basically take the leaves, you roll them up in a like a cigar shape. You stack them on top, roll them up, and then you cut across them really finely, and it leaves these really fine threads of whatever herb you're working with, and you throw that over. So that's it. Well, geez, second course is done. I'm gonna post this because those are delicious recipes, and we're gonna talk a little more. I don't know, a little more grilling, some tips and tricks, and then whether or not Laura calls in today. I know they've been busy up there. We will talk about a little wine because it's Wine Down Wednesday. That'll be today's dessert course. So stay tuned. Patrick Mosher, the Food Biz Pro, right here on Spoony Radio. I got a bunch of stuff going up on Instagram today and tomorrow as well. So check it out. I have a backlog of about 700 pictures. So I might as well start posting now. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
This is the only 24-hour take-anywhere platform dedicated to food and fun. We're Spoony.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm John Scott. President Trump is departing for Japan and the G20 summit. Earlier, the president touted his religious-friendly agenda at the Faith and Freedom's Road to Majority Conference in Washington.
During an hour-long speech to evangelicals, the president listed his pro-life and pro-family accomplishments in office, and he said social and religious conservatives will be vital to his 2020 re-election bid.
With your help, we will soon once again win a historic victory for life, for family, for faith, and for freedom.
He also warned Christian activists not to be complacent, saying that it all could change very quickly with the wrong person in the White House. Greg Clugston at the Road to Majority Conference in Washington.
Political fireworks after Democrats move to subpoena White House advisor Kellyanne Conway for failing to testify at a hearing into alleged violations of the Hatch Act.
Ohio's Jim Jordan says the subpoena is political.
Ms. Conway is being targeted not just because she's a conservative, not just because she's in the Trump administration, but she's being targeted because she's good at what she does.
Maryland Democrat Elijah Cummings.
Nobody is above the law.
The White House Office of Special Counsel recommended that Conway be fired for repeated violations of the Hatch Act, prohibiting federal employees from making political statements while performing official duties. The White House blocked her testimony, citing executive privilege.
Capitol Hill correspondent Wally Hines with that report. Also at townhall.com, Special Counsel Robert Mueller has agreed to testify publicly on July 17th on the Russia report. That will be before the House Judiciary and Intelligence Committees after both panels issued subpoenas to him. Coming up with an emergency border aid package now moves to the Republican-controlled Senate. That's after the Democratic-run House passed a $4.5 billion package Tuesday night. Republicans might instead push for their own bill. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Dr. Ken Brown here, host of Gut Check Project with my co-host Eric Rieger. I've seen in my practice that Atrantil is a whole lot more than just a bloating product.
Yes, it does a whole lot more than just fix bloating because of the polyphenols that you find in Atrantil.
What are some of the things that these polyphenols do, Eric?
These polyphenols can help you have more energy, and polyphenols are great for athletes.
It sounds like it's going to help a whole lot more people than just bloating. Go to lovemytummy.com/Spoony. Dr. Ken Brown here, host of Gut Check Project with my co-host Eric Rieger. Eric, we've been seeing Mojo guys over there and over here at Spoony talk about Atrantil for bloating. I've seen in my practice that Atrantil is a whole lot more than just a bloating product.
Yes, it does a whole lot more than just fix bloating because of the polyphenols that you find in Atrantil.
You're exactly right. The polyphenols are those molecules that we find in the Mediterranean diet. It makes vegetables and fruits very colorful. What are some of the things that these polyphenols polyphenols do, Eric?
These polyphenols can actually stop inflammation. They can help you have more energy. They can help you with anti-aging. And polyphenols are great for athletes.
It sounds like it's going to help a whole lot more people than just bloating. Tell me how everybody should be taking Atrantil.
If you want to dose Atrantil, it's 2 capsules 3 times a day, basically with your meals. But if you aren't bloated and you just want that polyphenol intake every day, 2 to 3 capsules a day will work for you.
Go to lovemytummy.com/Spoony.
Are you tired of high cable TV rates? Sign up for Dish today and get a $500 bonus offer while supplies last. Plus, lock in your price for 2 years guaranteed. Call All American Dish, your Dish authorized retailer now.
800-570-6630. 800-570-6630. That's 800-570-6630. Offers require credit qualification, 24-month commitment, early termination fee, and e-auto pay. Restrictions apply. Call for details.
Oh, lots of fun comments this afternoon, right here regarding grilling and super salads. I'm sorry, it is soup or salad course. If I was a bit hasty and speedy in my enunciation of those words, I'm sorry about that. But yes, what makes a super salad? I don't know. Go back and look at the article I just posted. That would be feta cheese, cucumber, watermelon. You know, actually, I do a sushi, well, a sashimi, well, a bite that includes semi-raw fish and watermelon that's really delicious, actually, for summertime entertaining. And it's basically seared ahi tuna cut into small tiles, tile-shaped, and served over watermelon with a like an apple cider vinaigrette that's delicious. I basically toss greens in the vinaigrette and serve them right over that diced like a cube of watermelon with that little piece of fish on top, and it's pretty damn good. Actually, it's freaking delicious. And then I found one time sriracha. It was sriracha salt. And I sprinkled that on top of the watermelon before I put the fish on it, and actually made a very interesting bite of food. But okay, we're gonna get back to these. Well, no, I wouldn't say these are so random. But some of the comments say, "Hi, Jill Raff, how are you?" As a matter of fact, Jill, we were just talking about customer service, so yeah, you know, I have someone we know is actually getting ready to embark on that adventure in customer service training, guest experience training, and maybe there could be some way to join forces or talk about that a little bit. And Travis Watkins says, that sigh, or whatever you want to call it, would mean I'm dragging your butt over the counter. I try to be polite to everyone regardless of how my day is going. I won't take rudeness from other people. Well, I don't think you need to drag them over the counter, but you can always choose another venue to go to. Just turn around and walk away, unless that is the one place that has your luggage, American Airlines. I have to say, though, thank you. Yeah, just thanks for getting it back. Not sure whom to thank, but thank you. I appreciate having my stuff back. Okay, Richard Bryant. Okay, now I think I'm in the right place, but you'll be bouncing back and forth between here and iHeartRadio, which, yes, that's what you do because you're always climbing in and out of containers and up towers. And I don't know what you engineers do out there in the field, but it's all sorts of interesting stuff. Travis Watkins says, why is summer grilling season? I like to grill in fall and winter. I'm not standing over a fire when it's 100 degrees outside. Well, it's always 100 degrees in Texas, and I'm just used to it. It's like being in a kitchen. I'll stand over the fire all day long. Plus, it gets you in shape very quickly. It dehydrates your body very quickly, so you're instantly in shape for bikini season. Let's see. Soup or salad sounds like super salad. Now I want to know what makes a super salad. I already discussed that. Let's see. Richard Bland. Fall, winter, and the first half of spring usually doesn't involve tornadoes and large hail, but it also doesn't involve snow. Remember, you live in Wyoming, dude. So, I prefer to stand. I don't care. I'll grill all year round. Here's my problem with when it's cold out and grilling. It's twofold. Keeping the grill hot. Because if you're going to grill with the lid closed, you're really not grilling. At that point, you're kind of steaming your food. That's not the best way to grill a hamburger or sear a steak. Might as well just sear it in a pan and stick it in the oven.
works just as well. You're basically using it as an oven at that point, and you're baking whatever you're cooking. But if you insist on grilling outside in the cold, then let it preheat for a long time, and then just don't open the lid, and just hope your food is done when you open it, because every time you're letting out that heat, and it's hard to recover. So, yeah. Annoying. I was in a Chinese restaurant that cut all of its mostly slippery vegetables into four-sided solids with no parallel sides, which made them almost impossible to pick up with chopsticks. Yes, actually, is there a technical term for this besides annoying? Yeah, it's called free entertainment for the cooks. We do that on, I think that might be all Asian restaurants. And the other thing is, it's not the cut of the vegetable that makes it that way. It's the cornstarch slurry that we use to make the sauce that keeps it nice and slippery. But that's funny. Oh my gosh. Let's see. That's the same basic combo. He also said that's the same basic combo I use for my mac and cheese. It's really good with some pulled pork in it. Oh, so again, another thing you could do with this is just do a mac and cheese bar. I did one on Doc's show previously at the other station, and it was really fun. Basically, you make your basic mac and cheese, and for those of you who have those members of the family which require it, you can make a gluten-free version as well. Just sorry, I was choking on those words. Actually, that's easy for me to say because I don't have a gluten issue. Actually, gluten issues are very serious in this country. But it's interesting that it's mostly in this country and not in Europe that eat probably 5 times more wheat products than we do. Can you say chemicals, maybe? Dr. Brown talked about that at least last week. Go back and listen to the Gut Check Project from last Thursday. And Dr. Brown addresses why we have those issues here and not in other countries. So anyway, not specifically other countries, but why it's so prevalent in the United States. Let's see. I've come to remember not to take a pan out of the oven and put it on a burner. I'll forget that it's, I'll forget that the oven is hot and not just the stove hot. I've done that before too, Travis. Yeah, it's not cool. I always leave a dry towel laying on the counter right next to the oven or the stove when I'm working. And it really kind of helps. It helps a lot, actually, to remember. Let's see. Summy Schick made it. What did I miss? Well, go back and listen to the first hour. You'll catch up. And let's see. Richard Brent. Knives, injuries, and mac and cheese. Yes. At least it's not pink mac and cheese. So that means I didn't cut myself while making the sauce. All right. Well, we'll catch up on some other ones. Oh, Rack Attack Barbecue. Brandon, how you doing? Don't forget next Tuesday. We're smoking food. We're going to do a little grilling out, and we're going to make some fun side dishes. So, matter of fact, you know what we should do next week? He's going to bring in some smoked meats, or we'll do them here that morning. Then I'll make a mac and cheese bar. We'll do a little mac and cheese bar. I just won't put the protein on, but mac and cheese bars are awesome. It's the mac and cheese mixed up, and then you put whatever you want, a scallion, right? Diced up green onion, but I like to use a chive instead. Then extra cheese if you want. Bacon. Some people don't want it. Some people are vegan or vegetarian. You can do all sorts of pulled pork. You can put all sorts of toppings. Oh, toasted breadcrumbs is a really good one to put on the side as well for those people who are not gluten intolerant. Yeah, I mean, there's all sorts of fun stuff. All right, so dun, dun, dun. Yeah, okay, Richard. All right, some people dominate the conversation here. Did you notice that? That's good though. Oh, you know what? If you are listening, Pat Gamir, if you're listening, text me, please, and I'll send you the call-in number because I got a couple questions for you specifically regarding your show, Real Food, Real People. I know now, I believe you have a couple of episodes up on Spreaker, and I just want to talk. I want to hear, you know what? Because I did listen to the first episode, but I want you to tell everyone about the show. All right. Very, very cool stuff. And if you're there, text me real quick. I'll shoot you the number. And that way, if Laura doesn't call in the second half hour, I bide some time and fill some content. Just joking. No, Pat, if you can call in. I've got the phone lines open. Just let me know and I'll text you the number. Okay. So back to tips and tricks of grilling. So I believe there's a fine art to grilling foods. And I love to use the grill as an all-over cooking, like a combi unit. It's all in one. It's all encompassing, and I'm not talking about because you have a burner on the outside. I mean, you can do everything on the grill. As a matter of fact, last night I was sitting at one of our partner here, Tom's house, and we were watching. It was Chopped Grill Masters Napa. Ooh, Chopped Grill Masters, and so it was amazing what these people can do on a. They had a Weber grill or whatever. It was just a charcoal grill, and they had about probably, in total, 4 feet by 4 feet of total cooking area, and 30 minutes to make a dish. But what I realized is that they cooked everything on the grill. Some things they were making sauces in a saucepan. They were charring items. They were roasting items on the top rack. They were grilling items. They were searing stuff on a flat steel, like a steel griddle that they put on there. And I started thinking about that. I've used a grill many times to. Ooh, that was a silent sneeze. I'm glad I didn't. I thought I lost an eyeball for a second. Wow. But anyway, yeah, it was fascinating watching these people under so much pressure use one. Woo! There it goes. That was better. Yes, I had to mute there for a second. Sorry. There goes the other eyeball. So, I was using I started thinking about how many times I've used a grill when I run out of space on the cooktop, right? So there's no more burner space in the kitchen. So if you want to keep something warm, it's a great warming station. If you have a grill and you're outside and everything's done, if you want to keep things warm, turn the grill down, put a hotel pan or some sort of metal pan. If you go to a restaurant supply store, you can buy some great things that are awesome. They're for great home use, for cooking out, grilling, serving, whether it's a buffet style or something that you're just having friends and family over, or you don't have a warming drawer. Like I've never had a warming drawer in my house. So the grill becomes a great way to hold stuff if the oven is full. So you turn the temp down, and what you do is you take hotel pans are the pans that you see inside of a chafing dish when you're on a buffet line, and they got the little flame canisters underneath, and it's a beautiful silver, serving tray. Well, basically that has an insert, which is to hold water, and then the pan that goes inside of that is called a hotel pan, and they make full size and half size and third size and sixth and quarters, and they make all shapes and sizes. But basically what that means is a full size pan fits inside of the water insert. And that's a full-size pan. It's basically, it's like 11 by 18 or something like that. I'll look it up exactly. I don't know. I should know after 32 years. I don't really care. But they come in all sorts of depths. There's 2-inch, 4-inch, and 6-inch. So if you buy one 6-inch pan, then you put water in it, then you can put any number of other pans in there and keep them hot. It's actually a really good way to keep stuff warm outside when you're serving. And they make rails that go inside of those pans. So if you buy, say, a half-size pan, so it's 1/2 the size of the full pan, but you need 2 other pans to go in there because you want to separate ingredients. If you buy 2 other 1/4 size pans, because a fourth is a half, and plus the other half equals a whole. I know I'm being a smart ass, but basically you have those 2 quarter pans. What happens is they have nothing to rest on except on 2 sides, and so they want to fall or tilt into the water, but they make a rail that goes between the pans, and it goes between the half pan and the other side, and basically it rests on there. You only need 3 sides to keep it stable, right? You don't need all 4 sides touching something. So if you have that, then it doesn't fall over. And that way, if you have a blank slot in there, then you don't lose your product falling over into the water, and your sauce, that beautiful red wine sauce that you made for that beautiful tenderloin that you just sliced and put into this hot holding pan, it basically turns over and becomes part of the water that's keeping everything warm. And it really sucks. It's like red wine and water soup that doesn't taste good. It's really like, it's actually, you know what? It's gut-wrenching when that happens. And those rails are like $3. So that's a really good way to keep things warm. And in the restaurants, that's what we do. Well, if it's a slower night and we need to keep something warm, or even on a busy night, we'll turn one side of the grill down. Typically, I like to have a 6-foot grill in a restaurant. Yes, 6 foot by 30 inches at least. Yes, it's a lot of grilling area, I know, but in the places I've worked, we've cooked herds of steaks in a season. So you keep the stuff warm on this warming area, or if you're doing a party, this is great. Oh, this is a great way when you have a lot of people coming over for 4th of July next week, and you have to cook 50 burgers for your friends and family. You can cook them all, right? And you keep them. Basically, I would use. You can even, you can get the aluminum throwaway pans, right? And you put water in one, the rest of the other one inside of it. And as the burgers come off the grill, you just line them up in the pan on the side, like you shingle them into the pan, and then just keep some foil on the top and keep them on one side of the grill with that heat turned down just a bit. And it works very well. It's a good way to keep your product fresh and warm, and not as fresh as warm, but it's a great way to serve, because I'll tell you what, food safety, although we don't think about it a lot for home service, is very important, especially around days like 4th of July when you have large groups coming over, because we don't think about that. So another thing you can do, it's basically the same way, is if you're going to serve things like potato salad or macaroni salad or other cold items like this, things that are potentially hazardous foods, especially stuff that has mayonnaise in it, basically, then you can take and do the reverse of this. You fill the tray with ice, and then you take the smaller containers, which are holding your food, and you put them on the ice, and it keeps the product cold. It's a great way to serve, especially if you're going to do an outdoor buffet for 4th of July, which we'll hope the weather holds here in the Dallas-Fort Worth region and wherever you may happen to be today. And let's see, what other tips and tricks for 4th of July do I have? I hate to admit this, but when it comes to grilling and melting cheese on a burger, for some reason, that processed American cheese is I don't like the taste, but it holds its shape. You can throw that baby on the griddle, and it never melts. I don't even know if it's really cheese. I'm not sure, but I gotta figure that out. It's the weirdest thing. I don't like the texture, but if you want to keep the shape, cheddar kind of melts all over the place, but anyway. All right, so there's some other interesting things in the news this week that I want to get to. So Japanese food. I'm gonna have to do a whole day or a whole hour on this, but there's Japanese snack food, right? And Japanese train station food. These boxed meals at train stations are very elaborate, and I want to get into that to another time. But one of my favorite things in Japanese food is basically the Japanese sandwich. It's the predecessor, or the common person's household version, right? Pretty much everybody makes these at home. They're called the Japanese rice ball. And it's not just a ball of rice, but it's actually, I've talked about pressed sushi, the individual pieces of sushi with some the sushi rice, right? Formed into a oblong shape with a piece of something on top, a slice of fish, grilled eggplant, whatever you happen to put on top, doesn't matter. But they make a larger version of Japan in Japan, and it's just called onigiri, o meaning large, and they're a triangular shaped, maybe they're probably 3 inches tall, 3-inch tall triangle with rounded corners, and about an inch and a half thick. And what this is a ball of rice that's been seasoned like sushi rice. Typically, doesn't have to be seasoned, but a lot of times it is. And then in the middle, though, is a pocket of, just about anything yummy you want to put inside. It could have tuna fish salad in the middle. It might have cured, salted, this sour, Japanese sour plum. It could have, you could put shredded short rib in there. That'd be really good. Shredded berry short rib. But I love these things, and it's such a tradition in Japan that when you go on a long train trip for the day, you stop at they have a kiosk on every train platform. There's a kiosk, and they sell three things. A lot of cigarettes. All Japanese people smoke. I don't know why. They sell these little glass containers of sake that you peel the top off. It's like a peel back tab, and it's a wide mouth. It's like a Mickey's Big Mouth of sake, basically. It's a short glass of sake with a peel off lid. And they sell rice balls or onigiri, and they sell some box lunches too. But it's interesting because each station kind of has their specialty. Every region has their specialty. Some places do like smoked salmon. They'll break it up and make to put just a touch of mayonnaise in it with chopped chive and things like that, and they'll mix that into the rice. And then they take the rice paper that they put on sushi it's called nori, right? Nori. It's basically, it's laver. It's a type of seaweed that's harvested, ground up. It's rolled into a sheet and then toasted, paper thin sheet, right? And of course, that's what most people don't like in sushi is that paper. But when you buy these rice these rice balls, these rice pockets, basically, then it comes with a sheet of nori included. And the reason is this makes it so you can hold it in your hand without getting dirty. It doesn't stick to your fingers, and that becomes it becomes a sandwich, literally. And they're getting really creative with this. There's actually a food truck, I want to say in Charleston, that their entire menu are interesting takes on the Japanese version of the sandwich. Sometimes it's just there's nothing in the middle. It's just the rice is mixed with Japanese pickles, or it's just fascinating. I love it. It's a very interesting. It's a whole class of food in Japan. Really, it's not even just one food item. It's a whole category on its own. I mean, it's fantastic. So anyway, it's called onigiri. 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 Yeah, fantastic stuff. Matter of fact, we need a little lesson on making sushi rice and making some common daily Japanese foods, not just sushi, because there's a lot of really cool stuff in Japan. All right. Now, before we get to Wind Down Wednesday in the last segment of the show, I want to get to the world's 50 best restaurants. And let's see. No, Pat, did you? I mean, look and see if you texted. So she, Pat, hold on one second. Dun, 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 dun. All right, Pat, I'm gonna send it to you right now. It is. I'm sharing it. Hold on. So I can get to the 50 restaurants tomorrow if I need to. But sorry, it is. Can you say it in my ear over there? Can you say it for me? I'd put it over the air, but you never know who's going to call.
Yeah, I don't know the number.
It's behind you on the wall over there.
Oh, we'll give me just a moment.
It's 220 something. I know. Oh, I'm sorry, dude. I forgot. He has to get up and look, which is not always the easiest. I want to talk about this. This show is great, actually, that Pat Gamir and Holly are doing. It's okay. Hold on. Cool. Thank you. All right, I'll watch your phones here for a sec. Yeah, I just want to talk about it. Pat, if you call in, we got about 3 minutes. We can carry over a little bit at the beginning of the hour, and then we'll talk to Laura about. We're going to talk about some basic beginner wines today for Wind Down Wednesday, because look, it's the middle of the week. Who doesn't need a glass of wine? All right. So, as I was talking about the top 50 restaurants, which I'll have to do it at the end of the segment. I'll have to just do like the top 10 today, because I don't think I can get to all 50. I'd like to say I've been to them all, but I was looking at the list of all 50. I think there may only be one I've ever been to, which means Chef Patrick's getting a little out of date, doesn't get out there much. I need to get out there and start getting back into these establishments. So if you need a food service consultant, please feel free to call 1-800-HIRE-A-CHEF. Ask for Chef. No, you can actually email Chef Patrick at Spoony.com. That's Chef Patrick at Spoony.com, or you can email Patrick at foodbizpro.com, and I will help you out. As a matter of fact, I have a new project going on in Austin that I'm going to take over here. It's a couple of food truck, well, they're food trailers because they're static. They don't move, but it's a really fun project just east of Austin on 290. And when we're up and running, it's kind of a basic place, but it's going to be a good joint with great food. And yeah, I think it's going to be really fun. Burgers, some breakfast burritos. Man, I want to do like, I can't even get on the subject. Denver has like the best breakfast food ever. Pete's Kitchen, this Greek place up there, 24-hour like diner, does a Greek. It's a breakfast gyro. They take the gyro meat and then they put scrambled eggs in there with it, but it's really creamy scrambled eggs. It's like one sheet, and they put the gyro meat on top of there, and then that creamy yogurt cucumber tzatziki sauce in there. Oh my God, it's the best breakfast food I've ever had. I mean, I love Eggs Benedict, but it doesn't hold a candle. Anyway, that's we won't be able to do that on that trailer, but I want to do some interesting stuff in there, and we'll do some really seasonal stuff. Like when Hatch chilies are out, we'll do some specials with that. And this is going to be a long-term project for me, so it'll be interesting to see how we can grow it and maybe take over a second location as soon as we can. I'll bring you back food every weekend, Jeff. He's like, quickly. Man. All right, Pat, you're on the phone. I'll answer really quickly. Hey, Pat, sorry I missed your call. I mean, your text, your first one. Oh, are you there?
Hello.
Hey, Pat, how are you?
Yes, I'm here. I am well. How about you?
I'm good. You're going in a little bit. We only have 30 seconds left. Do you want to hold over the 2-minute break, and we'll talk on the other side? But I really want to hear more about real food, real people. Do you have time, or are you in the middle of something?
Oh, no, I can wait.
Okay. All right. Well,
I'm good.
All right. I'm going to put you on mute for just a second. We'll come back, and then on the other side of the break, we'll also have Laura Geen in for Wine Down Wednesday. We'll be talking a little bit about what are the easy wines to drink if you're a novice and you want to drink red wine. What are the ones to start with? Party pleasers, not teasers, right? What's good to serve? We'll be right back. Stay tuned.
Follow Chef Patrick Mosher on Twitter @Food Biz Pro.
Do you use the expensive blue or yellow pills to charge your sex life? Are you thinking about it? What if we can promise you the same results for less than $3 a pill? If you're paying $20 a pill for the other pills, you're getting taken to the cleaners. Our pills deliver the exact same results for less than $3. You'll save more than $16 a pill for the same results. And right now, radio callers will get 44 blue or yellow pills for $120 with free discreet shipping. You can save more than $700 off pharmacy prices. Charge your sex life now and save a ton of money. Call now and get your 44 pills and save over $700 and qualify for free shipping. Stop overpaying and call right now.
800-218-6473. 800-218-6473. 800-218-6473. That's 800-218-6473.
Fast Track Student Loans can get your student loans out of default, stop any wage garnishments, stop collection calls, and stop seizure of your tax refund. Give yourself a break. Stop the stress and get your student loan payments down to as little as $25 a month based on what you can afford to pay. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395.
Now you can fly anywhere in the world and pay discount prices on your airline tickets. Book a flight today to London, Paris, Madrid, or anywhere else you want to go and pay a lot less guaranteed. Call the International Travel Department right now at Low Cost Airlines.
800-452-1075. 800-452-1075. That's 800-452-1075.
Trying to tuck my this little necklace that actually was given to me by a friend of mine. It's brought me good juju, man. This guy has a friend of mine up in Bentonville, Arkansas. He had been through a lot of trials and tribulations. I felt like an Italian guy trying to stuff my Vinny. No, I'm just joking, man. I'm sorry to all my Italian friends and friends in Jersey, but like I was trying to stuff like John Travolta trying to stuff my chest hair back down on my shirt. But my necklace was hanging out, and it's important. I don't want to catch it on something and break it because I've had it for a long time, and it means a lot. So anyway. We were just talking about to Pat, and let me unmute her because I probably got you on mute, Pat, as everybody has me. And let's see, I have two calls on now. There is this Pat? Pat, are you there? Hello, one. Hello, one.
Pat, hello.
All right, hold on a second because I have another call. This
can you hear me?
I can. Hold on a second. All right, Laura, are you there? Hello.
Hey, yes,
hey.
I'm here.
All right, hey, Laura. I have a Pat Gamir on the phone, and we're going to talk for just a second before we get to wine. Pat, you've been, I have to apologize. You, for weeks, I told you I would listen to your first episode of Real Food, Real People. And I did. I did, and I love it. And can you tell me, so we had spoken for a while, and you want to put a show up on Spoony, and we went back and forth, and again, we're working out when to put you up. And so tell us about the show and how many episodes you now have up on Spreaker, because I haven't looked back lately, but have you put up any new shows since the first episode?
Well, I had to go to Spreaker myself to see what the count was. We have done 5.
Okay.
And tonight we're actually recording 2 episodes because Holly's busy next week. So we're going to do a 4th of July episode and the episode for after the 4 tonight. So we'll have 5, 6, 7 after tonight.
Well, that's awesome. So you know what, we'll talk off the air about getting you up on Spoony. And so real quick though, tell us about I know what the show's about, but tell all the listeners what the show is about.
Okay, I'm looking at actually our little bio here on Spreaker, and I'm going to try to read it to you because I kind of like what we said. It says 2 friends that love to cook share their experiences, memories, and favorites, encouraging people to make every meal a memory and to gather around the table again. So that's a little thing on Spreaker.
So it's funny because we talked about this, and you're like, Patrick, sometimes you talk about these wonderful sounding recipes, but they're fancy. And we don't have the time. Not everybody has the time, nor the inclination, nor, sometimes it's expensive to buy those ingredients to make that kind of food, and nor the energy, right? And so, what about simple food? And it was a great idea. And, I grew up in a household where we just ate a meat plus 2 for every meal, pretty much. It was all simple. And, it wasn't always fresh. Sometimes it was frozen, vegetable, whatever. But, and I like that. And so,
sure.
As we go forward, I can't wait to, again, I'll listen to a couple more episodes, try to get the show up, and then we should talk. Certainly, I would love to, wait. As far as tonight's show that you're recording for 4th of July, can you give one secret out about what you're going to talk about for the 4th of July episode? Any ideas?
Well, actually, some of it is going to be, our memories of what we have done with our families on, 4th of July weekends. But we're just doing the real garish red, white, and blue stuff.
Nice.
What can you make red, white, and blue?
Well, you know what? I'll put a picture of a pie. My daughter made a picture of my daughter made a pie a couple of years ago. That's actually a strawberry blueberry pie mixed. It's one half is strawberry, one half is blueberry, and then she did like the waves, the stripes of the flag, and then the stars in the corner. It was awesome. I don't think I've ever made anything that's a baked good that was that beautiful, except in culinary school when I had like 4 days to work on it and it was inedible at the end. So, but anyway, hey, congrats.
Yeah, it's fun to play with stuff like that.
It is. Well, hey, we'll catch up off the air, and I'll listen to a couple more episodes tonight since I have nothing else to do. But yeah, thanks for calling in, Pat. And I didn't mean to not give you attention before.
Can I give our hashtags?
Absolutely. Yeah. Where do people find you?
What's that?
Where do people find you? Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Our Twitter accounts are Real Food Pat 1 and Real Food Holly 1. The hashtag is on Twitter is hashtag Real Food Real People, and we have an email account that's Real Food Pat Holly at Gmail. And one of the things we're looking for people to do is to send us their kitchen disasters and successes, and we'll read some of them on the air.
That's awesome.
So some of the disasters have been pretty epic.
You know what? If you can top the fire that I put in...
that's how you can find it.
Yeah, if you can top the fire that I put in the oven on Thanksgiving with the it was Christmas, on Christmas Day with the sweet potatoes and kept lighting the never
Oh, we had one of those.
Yeah. Or
the marshmallows caught on fire.
Oh, yeah. Or my 4-hour chickens that I cooked at my sister's house while I was still in culinary school. That was a funny, epic meltdown on my part. But, well, Pat, hey, we'll catch up off the air. I wanted to give you a shout out and let you give a little plug for the show.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Hey, we'll talk to you later, and I'll talk to you before 4th of July so we can talk some tips and tricks. All right. I'll talk to you later.
Thank you so much.
All right. Take care. Bye, Pat.
Bye.
All right. Yeah, she, it's fun. I've had her on the air before. She's called in, and Pat's she's a funny character. And she's been a devout listener since the beginning, and she and Holly are really funny on the air. So give it a listen. It's Real Food, Real People. You can find it on Spreaker. And now, you know what? It is time for Wine Down Wednesday. Laura Geen, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you, Patrick?
I'm real good. Oh, and Jeff, wow, that's beautiful. So very just magically, Wine Down Wednesday with Laura Geen of Ramo di Olivo just popped up on the screen. If you're watching on Facebook, that was, man, I'm impressed. It's so nice to have somebody sitting in the booth and me not like trying to figure it out all myself. But yeah, Jeff's a good guy. It makes me look professional. So what's going on, Laura?
You need help. We all need help, right?
Oh, I need more help than most, yes.
We just been doing a little bit of wine tasting today, and we had been chatting about great wines for the summer, what's drinkable on the patio, and how to get people who are interested in, learning about wine, interested in wine. We were just talking to some of my vendors about that.
If you're kind of a wine neophyte, right? And I mean that in the nicest way because I'm talking about myself. And you decide that you want to, a lot of people drink white wine, and white wine is deceiving because if you chill it enough, you hide you mask any flavor impurities, or, you can actually hide sweetness and that underripe kind of sourness that it can have, dryness. You can hide all that by over-chilling white wine. It's fairly simple. But with red wine, it's a little more difficult, and people are a little afraid of it. So if somebody's like the white Zinfandel drinker, then, I mean, what are some easy wines for them to step into that are you don't have to pair with food, or that are
right. And so obviously there's tons and tons of articles about this too. But when people come here to our bar, like we definitely like them to try some different kinds of wines. So one, obviously people have heard about are Merlots. Merlots are easy to start, but we don't have a lot of Merlots in our wine bar because they just have fallen off in fashion. So we like to point them towards maybe a Russian River Pinot Noir, because those are a little bit fruit forward. So to train your palate, you need to have a smooth wine. You have wines that have a nice finish. You don't not a lot of tannins. We've talked about that before, about these big wines, these Napa Cabs with the big tannins. You kind of don't want to give those to people as they're beginning wine drinkers. You want to give them something that's really smooth and easy to drink, a little more fruit forward, a little more lush, and a little more easy to roll off the tongue. So I know there's a lot of great wines out there. We were looking at an article that was suggesting Grenaches from Spain, which is a great one. We have those can be really lush. I wouldn't say it's sweet, but it's a little bit, on the palate. It's just easier to take because there's more acidity and less tannins. I have actually been tasting some Washington Merlots and Cabs, which are not as big and bold as California, and I think those are great entry wines. And we have a bunch of those on our wine bar, and some wines from Portugal are really amazing blends that are really easy to get people to drink as beginning wine drinkers. And so we have a few that we really kind of have people try. So blends are a great one. Well, Malbecs are great.
Let's clarify a little bit. So let's so for people that don't drink a lot of wine, and I know we talk tannins and so on and so forth. But tannins are that's that mouthfeel kind of. It's like when you get a tea leaf in your tea and it gets in your mouth, that dryness that's caused in your mouth, right? And when you drink a big, bold, tannic wine, like a big, heavy Cabernet, that's the feeling. It's like a dryness, right? It doesn't make your mouth pucker so much as dry out, and it almost leaves a texture in your mouth. And when you say they're
right,
like, I don't want to say necessarily fruit forward, but it's almost, you can say they're almost fruity, a lot of these wines, but without being sweet. So you can taste the fruit, the natural fruit,
Right.
but they're not necessarily sweet like some of that. There are some sweet red wines actually that have become very popular. Italy has a number of them, but yeah, we're talking things that so it doesn't have such a big bold flavor that it's going to overpower all your entire palate. And again, Merlot. I mean, I sent you a note. Merlot, I think, has gotten a bad rap because of one movie, right? One movie, really, Sideways. That movie, Sideways, really, it did damage to Merlot for like 10 years. And now it's coming back, and it's always been a great something to blend into wines. But what do you think about certain Zinfandels? Like, I think if it doesn't come from a big, really hot area in Napa, or that, the wine valleys in the southern part of Napa in that region, then I think they tend to be, pretty balanced and easy to drink as well.
Right. So Sonoma, that's why Sonoma Zins are probably so much easier to drink than the Napa, because they're more coastal.
Mm-hmm.
So those tend to be more delicate and, like you said, a little softer. So yes, tannins are kind of that punch in the face, that really sharp taste that you get in your mouth. And so that's why we would suggest, Zinfandels are terrific. They're a great entry red wine because they're complex enough that you're getting all those notes, and you can smell them. You can have a great nose in them and get that black cherry and that fruit that people always are talking about in red wines. People, they stick their nose in it and they smell it, because part of our senses are, to help us like something is our scent. So those have a beautiful scent. You do taste those cherry notes, and they are a little lighter, not as quite as tannic. However, they're a little bit high in alcohol content, which helps balance them
that's
out.
a problem.
But you just have to be a little careful.
No, I was liking that, and that's a problem. Why? That's what Uber's for, right? We keep lifting business. It's
right. Well,
you mentioned the nose, right? The smell of a wine and the aroma of a wine. There's an entire science around that, the oenology, right? And what I love about wines, and I think I found fascinating when I was in culinary school and really started to first understand winemaking and just really appreciate wine in general, the entire process, from growing the grapes to mostly consumption, of course. But is that the best way to identify the grape is through the sniff test, basically. The nose of the wine really is the best and most accurate way to identify the grape. And I thought that was I found it fascinating. Because in the culinary arts, so much depends on the visual appearance of something, and not the aroma, because that can be masked or it can be altered, But are there,
Sure.
Have you found that too? I thought that was, I just thought, I didn't realize before actually formally going to culinary school.
Well, and I do. So the thing is before I taste any wine, I smell it, I smell it, because that really kind of tunes you into kind of what you're about to taste or drink or eat or whatever. You smell food first, you smell wine first, which is great. And, the thing about the swirling the wine and all that's just about your glass. Like if I'm holding a stem, I'm swirling it just because I'm a fidgeter. I swirl it, but it does give it a little air. It does give it a little air. It does aerate the wine, which brings out more aromas, which is really what makes the wine so pleasurable, is all those aromas.
Yeah, well, and mixing,
and true to white wine as well.
Well, and aerating it as well, right? Adding a little bit of oxygen in there, or oxygenating it. But what's funny is I didn't know. So I was at a wine tasting, the very first one I'd ever gone to, and they had these little they're kind of glass squares that were just sitting on a white napkin next to the glasses, right? And I'm like, so I go in and I grab the wine, I sniff it, and everybody takes that glass and that glass sheet, that square, and puts it over their glass and swirls it, and then lifts it and gives a nice big sniff into the glass, and I'm like, oh, is that what you do? And then, of course, I drank the entire glass of wine, and it was a fairly generous pour for a tasting. And everyone looks at me, you didn't dump any out? I was like, no, it's wine, dude. Why would you waste wine? I mean, waste not, want not, right? And so,
right. We go through that all the time here because, we're always tasting wines, and I'm not a big dump. I don't spit, but I do taste because I feel like I need to have the full taste.
Yeah.
But, I may not drink the entire thing, but I feel like I have to taste it. I don't get that spitting stuff. I'm like, that is truly a waste.
Well, and above and beyond that, you don't get actually. So for me, that's actually a good point. If I don't swallow the wine, then I don't get the complete taste in the back of the throat. So if I so when you taste wine, there's a whole process, right? But basically, you put a little bit in the mouth, and then you kind of sip. It's like a slurping noise that you make. Here's what you do: you put it. Right, you aerate the wine in your mouth, and what that does is it it aerates the wine, so you get all those molecules moving around, and then it also opens up your palate a little bit, so you can taste the wine. You kind of swish around in your mouth. But I don't know if my taste buds are just further back than but if I don't swallow, at least take one little sip of the wine and swallow it, then I don't get the full flavor. And I've tried it both ways, both swish it in the mouth and spitting out, and then trying and swallowing the wine. It's a big difference for me. And it just is. And I think
agree.
Yeah.
I just agree with that. I just feel the same way. It's like I have to actually taste it all the way back into my mouth to get the full experience of any wine. And I don't know. What maybe we're just not wine snobs.
I just like wine. So I do like that. So for people that don't know, I've never been to wine tasting, or maybe you have, and but there are two formats which kind of distinguish what type of tasting you're at. One is like a vertical tasting, right? So vertical tasting would be the same wine, but different years, different vintages of that wine. And then you would go through and you would note the differences in that particular vineyard's wine and the difference between the years and so on and so forth. But my favorite, though, is to compare the same type of grape. Now, these are formal tastings. So you can go to a tasting and try, 20 different wines, or you can try a variety, white to red, light to heavy. It doesn't really matter. But in those types of tasting, like like a horizontal, so vertical, and what's the other tasting? It's where you taste different wines. It's the same grape, the same varietal, but from different regions of the same year. And then you can taste what one vintner's grapes are compared to another's. And it's amazing the difference in what, say, 5 miles in distance makes in grapes that were harvested the same year, fermented, bottled, and stored for the same amount of time, and then released on the same, at the same time. It's amazing the difference. And a lot of that's the soil and the experience, but it's just crazy to me how something can be so different, even like 2 miles away from one vineyard to the next with the same price point. I'm always astounded.
Well, and it depends on, how much sun, how much rain, what they're, fertilizing their, the soil with, what's in the soil, the nutrients in the soil. It can be different. It's just like yard to yard, garden to garden. It does make a little difference, and it also makes difference, who's taking care of it, who's pruning it, there's so many little nuances to actually growing the grapes and making the wine, and who's the winemaker, and how is he, is it aged as the same amount of time, and they like to blend, and they like to make all kinds of, little changes. Each vineyard wants to make their own little, mark.
Tweaks. Yes.
We were just tasting, they're tweaks. We were just tasting a beautiful Chardonnay that had a little Viognier in it. And someone that I work with was like, what is that? Why don't they make that as a straight varietal? And we were talking about those 1,300 varieties of grapes. Mm-hmm. And so many of them are blended or used as, a blending grape. And it's I don't know them all, but that, some of them are too floral to stand on their own, or too, stout or bold or whatever, so they blend them. Mm-hmm. Even cabs, like not all cabs are 100% cab. Some of them have a little Merlot or Cab Franc in them, or so there's a lot of blending that goes on, and that is the tweak of every vineyard, depending on how they're growing their grapes. So that's kind of an interesting aspect that you learn as you drink wine.
It's a very again, it's a, I don't want to say it's an art. It really is, just as is most everything else in the culinary world and food and beverage world in general. It's fun. I mean, I think wine is probably one of the areas I want to start really exploring this year. I have a guest that's going to be coming on soon from the Hill Country. They actually have a vineyard down there, and they specialize in only Italian wines. And I want them to bring in a flight so we can taste what they have, and then we'll talk about each varietal and what makes it enjoyable. But one of the things I see in this country that it's starting to change these blends, but just plain what we'd call plain, but some of the best blended wines I've had in other countries are just table wine. And that's all it says. It's like they'll have a red house and a white house wine, house white, house red, and then whatever other wines they have on the menu. And oftentimes if I travel, I just ask for the house white or house red, and that it's considered a table wine. They just set the bottle down on the table, and it's the most, not always the least expensive, but pretty much. Typically, even in a restaurant, you're under $20 a bottle. And it's fantastic.
Well, and those are from that region, hopefully.
Typically,
they do that in different regions in Europe as well. That it's part of it, right? That the wine comes from that region, so you're just getting the house, which if you're in Chianti, you're getting Chianti, So
yeah, I remember.
Kind of neat.
Do you remember the Chianti bottles used to hang over all the Italian restaurants? They were always hanging everywhere. The wicker wrapped ones. I used to love those things. I don't know why. I wanted to hang them in my bedroom when I was a kid, but I guess my mother, with her better judgment, said no. All right. So, did you taste anything interesting in the last couple of days?
So I was just tasting, like I said, some Washington wines, and I'm really becoming a fan of these Washington wines because they're so drinkable, and especially the reds, because they are a lighter version, so easier for summer. I just had Columbia Winery out of Washington. I tasted their Merlot and their Cab, both very affordable, easy drinking wines that I could see people just drinking a glass. So a lot of times, and especially for beginning wine drinkers, they think, okay, I need to have food with the red. I can drink white, whatever. These wines were so flavorful. They are smooth. They have very round, not too complex, but nice and round and balanced flavors that you could drink alone, standalone wines. And that's kind of what I look for a lot at my wine bar, because we don't serve a lot of food. We want wine that people can order and just drink, a standalone wine, and that is kind of our go-to. Now, when in our wine shop, of course, we have all the big ones because we want to please everybody. But those are two that I just fell in love with today. And they had a really nice Chardonnay as well that was floral and buttery and just easy to drink. So Washington is like an up-and-coming area for wine.
Well,
I really want to someday go out there and visit.
Yeah, I haven't been. The Russian River Valley is amazing. The grapes that they're growing up in that region, and the talent that they brought in over the last 25 years. I think they have some of the best world-class wines, especially the lighter side of reds that are kind of have this mass appeal to everyone. I highly recommend it as well. But I sent you another article. Did you get to look at that a little bit from Wine Folly? About those, I
just looked at it really quick, and I'm going.
It's okay.
I need to go and pull that up
you can pull.
I'm like, what?
No, so let's just
most expensive wine.
So these aren't even So this is not the most expensive single bottles, right? But the most they're close. But the article is about what do 5 traits of the world's most expensive wines. But that aside. So look, if you want to have a big, bold, glass of wine with your dinner tonight, then why don't you choose one of these? You may want to pair some food with it because if you can afford one of these bottles of wine, you can certainly afford a steak. Even at Peter Luger's, you can afford a steak in New York City. So did you see? Everyone pretty much. If you know
the top wine.
Oh my gosh!
People don't even know what we're talking about. There's 2 wines on here that are $500,000.
Okay, so one is from Burgundy, right? What's the one from Burgundy, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Burgundy. One is a Pinot Noir from Burgundy. Another one is a Cab from Napa.
Okay, so do you know Screaming Eagle?
Screaming Eagle.
Yeah.
I do know Screaming Eagle, and $500,000. It's from in '95. But I'm just okay. Wine is, truly, you can buy a really big house.
Yeah. So actually, I know someone.
One bottle.
I know someone in Houston that has 2 bottles of 2000 or 2001 Screaming Eagle, and I'll get you a deal. The 1995 is $500,000 for a single bottle.
Yeah.
Cabernet Sauvignon. That's 1995 Screaming Eagle Oakville Cabernet Sauvignon. Now, for those of you who don't know, Screaming Eagle is like the most exclusive winery in North America, possibly the world. They have very small production every year, and the waiting list is about 20 years just to get on the waiting list to wait for a bottle of wine so you can buy a bottle of wine. It's ridiculous. But I've never had the pleasure of having a glass, or definitely not a bottle of Screaming Eagle. But if you want to buy one, I will broker the deal for the sweet, sweet cost of just $10,000, and that's including my 10% commission. So if you would like a bottle of Screaming Eagle for $10,000 cash, then you may reach me at chefpatrick@spoony.com. That's chefpatrick@spoony.com. And I'll send you my personal cell phone number and we'll get that deal done. But yeah, that's ridiculous. Can you imagine $500,000 for a bottle of wine?
Yeah.
Crazy.
No. I know that the wine is great. I know that their wine is amazing, but I just can't, I can't believe, it's like, you're going to drink it if you're going to drink it. I assume you're going to drink it.
Yeah, you'd think
That's
so.
a lot of money for. Yeah, you would think that you would drink it, right?
Exactly.
You're just holding it.
Hey, Laura, you got 15 seconds. 15 seconds to give anybody else a plug or any other crazy stuff that's going out there, real quick.
Okay, well, we just picked up the Austin Hope Cabernet Sauvignon from Paso Robles. Excellent buy at our shop for $48. You got to come in and try it. It's awesome. You want a good cab and you don't have to pay $500,000.
All right, well, I'll come up and try it out. Hey, Laura, thanks as always. Tell Tom I said hi. Sorry we ran a little short on time, but I can't wait till next Wind Down Wednesday. I'll talk to you then.
It's good.
Cheers.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Again, that was Laura Geen from Ramo de Oliva up in Bentonville, Arkansas. Hey, thanks for listening. Chef Patrick Mosher signing off. You made it all the way through dessert. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Be kind to yourself. Ciao for now.